Good evening, teacher, and my beloved people here. We are from Group 1. We're going to present about the chapter 6 of the story, The Village by the Sea. They are our content that will be covered in this presentation. For chapter summary will be handled by Bong Sing-hing and Mi Ji-won. The analysis of main passage will be presented by Bong Kim and Bong Linda. And the last part, analysis of connection between the study text and real life will be responsible by Sa and Muniran.
So now let's go on with the summary of the story in chapter 6. At the beginning, Harry hoped to catch a bus to Rivers, and he spent an hour in the night alone waiting the bus on the highway by toll. There was no bus running on the way. Finally, a ballot cart passed by there. Harry asked for a lift and spent an uncomfortable night in that rough cart. Harry climbed down from the ballot cart and tried to pay the driver, but the driver said,
Go, run. They are the boat you want to catch. Mine will come in later. I will go and have a glass of tea in the meantime. Don't pay me. I did nothing for you. I was coming here anyway.
The driver was going to Rivers to pick up fertilizer. The driver also told Harry that soon everything will be made in the factory, nothing produced by hand. There was not enough to go around. When Harry lay down at the Rivers pier, Harry was astonished to see many people were heading to Bombay. He had thought he was being adventurous, but there were many men and boys going there. He found himself trembling with excitement and fear. Harry was the only person from Toll Village in the boat. Harry did not bring anything to eat. He sat listening to them, feeling very tired, thirsty, and very afraid of the journey. Harry had been thinking about for so long he wondered if he had done the right things, but there was no way he could turn back. Suddenly, a man on the boat saw and he noticed that Harry had no food. The man gave Harry a cold, dry chapati. Then Harry took it, although his throat was dry, to eat it. When Harry saw the city of Bombay, he was awestruck. Harry wanted to stay on the boat to see Bombay, but everyone was rushing and brought Harry along with them. Harry has never seen many cars in one moment on one street. Harry clutched the arm of the man next to him whose name Mahe, and he also from a toll village. Mahe told Harry that
Hurry, brother. Don't stop. Come. We have to go to Kala Goda, the Black Horse.
they began to dodge the traffic and almost got hit by a bus, and the driver yelled at them fiercely. A policeman came and roared at them. He called them fools, and before the policeman moved on, Mahe said,
We are from Aliba and we have come here to speak to the chief minister.
After hearing that, the policeman burst out a laugh and teased them.
Go ahead. The minister is waiting for you with tea, galan, and sweets.
After this happening, they walked forward to the Black Horse pedestal. Harry was surprised to see many processions going to protest in the city, including women. All those women held up their banner and demanded the fair price and asked for freedom and justice. All women shouted joy. Harry and the other Aliba villagers stood with amazement. They had not brought along their women because they thought they would only be a nuisance. After they passed, Harry wondered what his mother and Lila would think of this female protest. Villagers gathered around Black Horse pedestal, and a strange man climbed onto the pedestal, held a megaphone, and began to speak. His name was Syed Ali. He was not one of the political leaders. He looked clean and educated. He pointed out the value of the land and the sea, and also the impact from the factories. And if people were forced to give up their jobs and move to Bombay, there was no jobs or houses for them. Harry felt that the man was talking to him. After Syed left the podium, a new man came up to take his place. He handed the megaphone and began to speak about the Aliba geomagnetic observatory, but his speech was not effect on people. Then he gave up the megaphone. Now it was Adaka's turn to give his speech. The crowd cheered their leader loudly. Adaka repeated the things he had already talked of before. He said the richness of his land, his crops, will not be given up or destroyed for factories. They came here to tell Chief Minister Sahib that they will not offer their land. They had to march to Mantralaya. Just then, Harry heard a voice shout over the megaphone that only 5 people will be going on to Mantralaya with the petitions. Harry was watching the crowd fade away down the road. Harry felt that he belonged nowhere. The others had left him behind, and now he was alone in Bombay. Back in Seoul, in the little hut, Leela, Bella, and Kama were waiting for Harry to return. In the morning, Leela went to check her mother, and the fever was still burning. Leela told Kama and Bella to buy some ice for mother and see if Harry was in the bazaar. The girls ran into Leela's friend Mina. Mina called and told them that all men went to Bombay and also Harry. But the girls did not believe that Harry went there. The girls cried and hurried on to buy ice for their ma. When they got home, they found Leela had just finished burying Pinto. Kema and Bella broke the news which they had heard from Mina. Leela frowned. She could not understand. Harry could have been so angry and left home. If she would never have run away herself. She had to take care of her mother and her sisters. Without saying a word, she went into a house. Because Harry was not at home, she had to take her mother to Alibar herself to see a doctor or fetch medicine for her mother. As Leela was getting ready to go, the girls heard the sounds of a motor roaring up that was the Dilsevas come from Bombay. So the summary part will be come to an end here. Let's move to the next part will be presented by Bong Kim and Linda.
Thank you, Singh, for your very interesting summary. And the next part will be presented by me, the Kim, and Linda on the analysis of the main messages in chapter 6. So without further delay, let's get started now. Before I direct into our main messages, I want to connect everyone's attention a second to our previous lesson that talk about human behavior. According to Plot 3 part of mind, there are 5 human drives that influence human behavior, such as desire, fear, need, cultural value, and conflict. And these usually have a profound influence on human decisions and action. After we have read the story, especially chapter 6, my group has found the 2 main messages that are based on psychoanalytic from the chapter. The first one is the drive of need, and the second one is the drive of fear. The first main message is the drive of need. It includes survival and safety. Survival is the psychological need. Food, water, air, clothing, shelter, and sleep are the example of it. Moreover, safety is about the safety need. It includes security and financial stability. At the beginning of chapter 6, it was talk about Harry's first time journey travel to Mumbai to find a job there. So a question, what drive Harry to go to Mumbai? So now, please take a look at these 3 quotes. These 3 quotes have shown us the answer. The first quote showed that Harry has no enough food for survival. The second quote proves that he has no good or comfortable place to live. And the third quote demonstrates that Harry has no property like the other villagers. And based on these 3 quotes, these have shown that Harry and his family need to survive for their life because they were living in a very difficult condition, like old heart, no profit, and illness. Therefore, Harry decided to leave his family and his relatives to survive in Mumbai. He hoped he can bring back some money for his family, even if he was not sure that he could find a job or not. In Maslow's hierarchy, Each lower level need must be met before a person can focus on a higher order need. If you don't have enough food or you are in physical danger, you are probably not paying too much attention to how much other people like you or how much personal growth you are experiencing. And Maslow considered psychological need and safety to be the most important, as all the other needs become the secondary until these needs are met. So we can imply that when human survival is very important to everyone, when they are not able to fulfill the basic need, they can do anything because of it, even if they may face with many obstacles or take high risks. And back to Harry, most theory can apply in Harry condition. He does not have enough food, no comfortable place to stay, or also no money to support his family and himself. Harry was forced to make a decision that he didn't think of before. So many bad things have happened to his family, such as his mother's health condition was worse from day to day. His father was in debt. His three sisters were being treated by a stranger, and even Peter, his dog, was killed. All of the reason that tried Harry to go to Mumbai, because he was very disappointed with his father, and sometimes he wanted to run away without care about anything. In short, human behavior was influenced by human drives, and because of the need that drive Harry went to Mumbai. And this is the end of my part, and the next part will be presenting by Linda. And thank you.
Thank you, Bonge Kim, for your awesome presentation. As we have said earlier that in this chapter, there are two main messages of psychoanalytic criticism. So the first one that talk about the triad of needs, and now I'm going to talk about the triad of fear. So as you can see, based on what Freud worked with his client, Freud asserted that people's behavior is affected by their unconscious. So Freud believed that our unconscious was influenced by childhood events. So in this chapter, another spot that tries humans' behavior is fear. So this is a quote that I talk about people's situation in both village and in village and the city. That talk about like we have come to tell the government we do not want the miserable sums of money they are offering us. Our land is too valuable to sell. So in this quote, we can see that in this quote, we can see that most of the people at the village and the city came to join the petition in order to raise their problems with the fertilizer factories. What wanted to change their, which wanted to change their habitats. In this case, we could see that the fear of people that try their behavior to against the government. And this is the reason, or that we can say that behind reason that they that drive their behavior to join the petition to the government. So the first one is valuable land. Like there is that the people in Tool have been living in that land that could do the farm and feed their whole families without any hesitations. As we can see that Hari could sell his coconut to support his family financial. Yes. And second, about healthy lifestyle. People who live in the city concerned about their healthy lifestyle. There is a gentleman called Sayyid Ali said that when the factories came, they would pollute the bad air, so it would affect to their health. That's why they joined that petition. And the last one is jobless. As the man who talked with Beju that the factories would not allow the villagers to work with and close some and would close some of their business such as Beju's. People in the village would be jobless. So in short, the fears of losing their valuable land, healthy lifestyle, and job drives humans' behavior in India at the time to join the petition. So thank you. This is the end of my part. And now let's move to the next part, which will be presented by Sa and Manirat. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such a good analysis done by Bong Linda and Bong Kim. I am Sa, and I would like to invite everyone to a new part of the presentation in which we will discuss about themes. More specifically, we will compare that what we learned from the story to real life experience to see what are the useful ideas that we can use in real life. So in this part, this part will be presented by me and Munirat. So let's get started, shall we? So the first themes of this chapter is feminism. Specifically, the story depicts an involvement of women in social issues. Approaching the end of the chapter where Harry and the villagers arrived at Bombay and they saw a protest happening in which there were women joining. The protesters were demanding the government to lower oil price. Even more surprising is the fact that there was even an old lady swaying her wooden rolling pin instead of her hand. All of this stupefied Harry and other villagers very much, for they thought that women were not helpful when it comes to such social issues. So, what would be the result if we compare the event to our reality? I believe that this scene actually reflects the fact that women are no longer oppressed and they can enjoy their freedoms, decide on their futures, and deserve to be heard. Plus, some women have even become activists advocating and fighting publicly for what is right. For example, Greta Thunberg, a proponent of environment protection. So, finally, the useful idea of this theme is that everyone, despite sexual orientation, has rights to concern about the future, and women should take advantage of the recognition and appreciation given by the society to do the right thing. Moving on to the second theme, which is the geographical narcissism. Basically, it is when people living in cities think they are better than those living in rural areas. It did not take long for the villagers, including Harry, to receive harsh words from the Bombay Valas, such as, "Where you come from? Never seen traffic lights? Don't you know how to cross the street? Come straight from the pumpkin fields, have you?" These are what the policemen said to Harry and others because they had crossed the road chaotically. So if we compare this to our reality, it will not be much of a difference because some Cambodians, for example, still use the word like "nesrai" or "strai" to describe someone who is not up to date. And they might use the word alternatively to describe someone who fails to understand modern technology. So what is the useful idea behind this theme? The useful idea of this theme is obvious. We must not consider anyone inferior to us based on where they live. Living in the society, everyone shares the burden to different degrees. Plus, living in rural areas, people conform to different norms, and when they come to the city, they find it difficult because of the culture shocks and not the intelligence of the people. And thank you. This is the end of my part. Let's move on to Monirat's part.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. I would like to add more things. More specifically, I will compare what we learned from the story to the real life experience to see what are useful ideas that we can utilize in real life like that had talked before. The third thing is the responsibility toward others. Leela, as the eldest, took the responsibility of taking care of her family as both of her parents are incapable to do so. After Bella told Leela that Harry had gone to Bombay with other men, Leela started to think that Harry could have been angry and upset and run away from home, even though it was frightening and difficult for her. She was always there with her sister and her mother were in her care, and luckily she could somehow manage it. Also, she would go herself to Alibag to see the doctor and fetch medication for her mother. So if we compare it to reality, it seems not quite different because children would normally have to take care of our parents even if they cannot do quite well to support the family. And finally, the useful idea of this theme is gratitude. With gratitude, people acknowledge the goodness in their life. Gratitude helps people feel more positive emotion, release good experience, and deal with adversity and build strong relationships. The fourth thing is adaptation to change. Harry was willing to change and even bravely went to Bombay without hardly knowing anyone. He had not thought that he would be going to Bombay. He had thought that it would be something dangerously adventurous. In fact, he found himself trembling with excitement and fear. Also, he even thought that maybe he could get a job and live in Mumbai by himself. So, if we compare it to the reality, there is nothing different from the people that leave their hometown to start their new life in city, in which they have to try very hard to make money to support their family. It is a risk that they are willing to take because some of them grow tired of their current life quality, and some have no choice but to escape where they used to live. Finally, the useful idea of within is adapting to any change, means adapting the way we do things in all areas of our life to respond to the changing circumstances. It will not only protect us from negative impact, but also it will give us chance to take advantage of situation or change around us. And thank you for your listening. This is the end of our presentation.